The Indians are in first place after having won 7 of their first 10, even though they have the second fewest hits in the majors. Eric, why are the Indians in first place right now?
Well, easy answer is look at their schedule. They are not playing a murderer's row. I think they're playing now every team in the AL Central and the Toronto Blue Jays, a team that is not destined for the World Series this year. That being said, they've had solid pitching, timely hitting. They're getting home runs surprisingly, and they're moving guys. They're not manufacturing runs on 3 or 4 hits to try to get one single run. So they're using as much manpower as possible to try to score runs, and they're doing just enough to get these wins. I saw the lineup firsthand a couple days ago. It wasn't the '90s Indians. The back half of the lineup was Brad Miller, who looked like the bat boy, a thin Craig Counsell, which takes a lot to do. Eric Stamets looked like me out there, and that's not a compliment. He looks small and overwhelmed. I'm not saying I would be overwhelmed, but that's what
you'd be overwhelmed if you had his major league pitching. Stop.
Hey,
yeah,
Stamets had the Little League, what do they call it? Little League homer today, inside the park homer, but there was an error, so it was only scored a single.
With a 3-base error, yes.
Yes. Yeah, and so we're recording this Tuesday night, so we got to see the Indians play the Tigers, and they did have a great game today. But I think
if only they could play Jordan Zimmermann every time. Jordan Zimmermann is a decent pitcher, and for whatever reason, when he goes against the Indians, they just own him, no matter who's in the lineup. They hit 4 home runs today. A team that shouldn't hit 4 home runs in April hit it in this one game. And if for whatever reason, when Jordan Zimmermann plays the Cleveland Indians just have his number. It's just one of those things. But if you look at how the Indians are in first place, I can give you some numbers: 3-1, 3-2, 4-1, and 2-1. They have won 4 games where the other team didn't score more than 2 runs. It is that is how this team has to win, and give them credit. They have been able to do that so far. And so, that's the recipe for this particular squad, and ask Jordan Zimmermann to pitch against them 82 times a year. Probably not going to happen. So without that, that's how they have to win, and give them credit. They've been able to do just that in those wins. They did score some runs in the 3 other wins. I don't mean to belittle them entirely, but those are the type of games that they have to win. When they get to 3 and 4 runs, they have to win those type of games, and that is asking a lot. But with this pitching staff, it's not an impossibility.
Yeah, and the pitching staff has been incredible. Trevor Bauer had a no-hitter through 7 innings. His pitch count got a little bit high. They had to take him out, and then they lost the no-hitter afterwards, but still got a win there. Mike Clevinger had a great game. He had 10 strikeouts through the first 5 innings. But the other thing that we found out today was that Mike Clevinger wasn't just a precaution to take him out of that game early. He does have a back strain. It looks like it's going to take him out for 6 to 8 weeks. Clevinger was really playing well to start the season. Drew, what are we going to do with Clevinger leaving the starting rotation?
Yeah, that's tough. Just some stats on Clevinger. Baseball is a game of statistics that lends itself well to things like when you give up 1 hit in a no decision and come back and give up 1 hit in a win. He's pitched 2 games and given up 2 hits. 12 innings pitched, 0 earned runs allowed. He has been great. He's been the best pitcher in the American League based just on statistics alone. Obviously, an extremely small sample size, but if you look at what he's been able to do in those 2 outings, he has looked like the best pitcher in the American League. And that, it's still early. I'm not saying Mike Clevinger is the best pitcher in the American League. He's not the best pitcher in the Cleveland Indians, but he has looked unhittable early on in the year, which goes to it gives even more credibility to the Trevor Bauer offseason program that Bauer came up with the help of the Indian staff. If you have a good arm talent like Clevinger has, you can do some things with this. So he's added velocity this year. It's not a ton, but it's up 2 or 3 miles per hour, which can make a huge difference when you're talking about at the major league level. So that's going to be really tough to lose him. In the short term, Nick Whitgren was recalled from Columbus. The Tribe acquired him in a trade with Miami back in February. Last year, in some relief appearances, he was good. He had a 2.94 ERA in the spring, and in some of the the early AAA games, his ERA I think is like 3.5, somewhere in there. So he's a decent enough pitcher, but he's certainly not going to be able to fill the shoes of what Clevinger was and what he could have been.
Eric, what do you think? Are they going to have to dive deeper into the Columbus starting rotation? It's just go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to start from there, the only guy I see that has the most innings pitched for the Clippers is Asher Wojciechowski. I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, Woj.
Woj bomb. He did pitch for the Astros in 2015. I think he was like 1 and something, not very great. So he does have starting experience, but yeah. Slim pickings there. Obviously Plucko would be the choice whenever, provided he gets healthy soon. I think asking a 4-man rotation for 6 to 8 weeks at this time of year is asking a bit much. Maybe they'll get lucky with some rainouts so they could, extend, have Kluber go, get the rain out, and he'll get the next start 6 days later. But again, you're kind of asking a lot out of that. Bullpen days, that's an awful idea. I hate going to those games. I hate watching them. And I don't know if the Indians have a good enough bullpen to throw 9 innings and, limit other teams to less runs than their offense is capable of scoring right now. Looking at free agents, we got 47-year-old Bartolo Colon still out there. Surprisingly, I don't know if maybe I'm missing something. He was really good like 2 or 3 years ago, but Dallas Keuchel's still out there. I would definitely kick the tires on him. I mean, worst case scenario, you give him a couple shots, he doesn't got it anymore. Yeah, you cut bait and you try to find somebody else over the next 6 to 8 weeks. The only other person I could really see was maybe Edwin Jackson. He's 35. He went 6-3 last year for the A's. Not a tremendous guy, but maybe a serviceable he's like a backup quarterback. Maybe you can, get by on a couple starts. So long story short, I don't have a tremendous amount of confidence. I'm just, a wing and a prayer that somebody from Columbus can come up, or they can, they can hold down the fort for a few more, maybe 1 to 2 starts while Plucko gets back. But I'm sure Francona is probably thinking this over, and he's going to have a good plan for them.
Change to Quicken Loans Arena. That's everyone is hearing about. They've renamed it, along with all of the renovations that have occurred. Big glass front on the old queue. They are now calling it the Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse, or maybe just the Rock. So what do you guys think? Eric, what do you think first here? Do you think the Rock is a better name than the Q?
No, I hate the name. When I first heard that, I was like, are you kidding me? I get it. I understand. This is Dan Gilbert. He's got he's pushing his business. He's saying we're not just loans, we're also mortgage. I get it. But man, that's not a good name. Deep from the Rock. I mean, what are we going to say? Are we skipping stones when the ball gets bouncing around the hoop and rattles in? The Cavs rocking and rolling. That could go with the theme with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I get that. Is Austin Carter's going to say we throw the chisel down? I could go on all day, but
please just stop.
No,
Actually, don't stop. This is great, man. Keep going.
I'll probably think of some more, but that's all I had off the top of my head. But when it switched from the Gun to Quicken Loans Arena, I wasn't a fan of that either. They were able to shorten it to the Q. That worked. I don't like the Rock. Maybe they'll have some other type of name that's easy. And Fieldhouse, I'm not a big fan of that. It kind of it's got a small college, high school little feel to it, not like an NBA. Like you hear the Coliseum or the Great Western Forum or the Boston Garden. You hear those are kind of the preeminent names I like hearing, not the Fieldhouse. But I'm hoping somebody out there, some advertising guru, can come up with some catchy name that's, try to be a little better than the Rock.
Okay, come on, Zion's gonna pound the Rock next season.
There you go, man. Yeah, I certainly raised people's eyebrow when they made the change to it. It probably wasn't the most electrifying name in sports entertainment that they could have come up with, but I think that they can do some things with it. They could call it. I actually sort of like the Fieldhouse. For what it's worth, it's something that I think makes some sense. If Boston can make the Garden into something, then we can make the Fieldhouse into something. But some other things: the Rock and Morty, the Launch Pad, and the Morgue. But no, I don't hate it. I like the Q. I like Gun Arena. I don't like when stadiums change their name either. But I think they can probably do something with this. They can mix in, when somebody catches a forearm, they'll call it the people's elbow, and they can do some things like that where I think you can make the Rock into something and really sort of build that up. To where hopefully he doesn't leave you and go Hollywood on everybody. So, I think there's some possibilities with the Rock. Hopefully he doesn't sell out and become a tooth fairy.
Well, I'm definitely in the camp that can smell what Dan Gilbert is cooking. So I am positive on the name. I like it, especially if the Rock catches on. It's pretty good. And one person we won't see at a Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse next year is Channing Frye, who we are celebrating his retirement. We had Kevin Love put on his college jersey before beating him out of the NBA that everyone saw. So, Drew, how will you remember Channing Frye? Is there a good memory of him? Yeah,
it's a good one. The thing that I will remember about Channing Frye is he actually introduced me to the whole podcast genre with his road tripping with RJ and Channing podcast, production.
I think Allie too. Yeah,
exactly,
was it Allie Clifton? Yeah.
Yeah, that they put on. I had a lot of fun with that. You got to see a little bit of glimpse of sort of behind the scenes stuff, but it was mostly just those two guys joking around and really having a good time. And it made you feel like you were a little closer to those players. So that's always what I'll think of first. And then the other piece, you obviously think about that 2016 team, but me personally, I'll think of road tripping with RJ and Channing, and I'll also think that that he brought some good name. He brought some good stature back to people with the name C. Frye here in Cleveland. Really helped to raise for us.
Yes.
Eric, any other memories from Channing's stay with the Cavs?
Well, I just remember him playing at Arizona, and for some reason I was watching the draft when he came out, and the Knicks fans were going crazy, and everybody thought he was going to be a bust because he played for the Knicks, and the Knicks were horrible. Fortunately, he got out of that situation because, the Knicks. And he had some pretty good years with Phoenix. I really wish somehow we could have gotten him. That was his prime years. He was still pretty good, obviously, later on in his career, but that was really high scoring. If the LeBron could have teamed up with him in the, as opposed to Ben Wallace or Wally Zerbiak or Larry Hughes,
Drew Gooden.
Drew Gooden. I mean, he's close to 7 feet tall, and he was a thin guy, but he could shoot. He could somewhat play defense. He was a very versatile, useful guy. So yeah, I guess going back to my point, everybody was calling him a bust for the Knicks, and I think that was 2005, I want to say. So he's been 14 years in the league, had a pretty solid career. Not going to be a Hall of Famer, but one of the serviceable big men that's playing in the last 15 years or so.
Yeah, anyone who's a part of that 2016 championship team, I think they'll always have a place in our heart, especially how nice Channing has been to the city, and just very appreciative. And he's certainly had a special relationship with Kevin Love, and bringing a lot of laughter to Kevin Love, which is pretty cool.
He said that his heart will always be in Cleveland when he retired, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow,
he had to say. Yeah,
that's an ironic statement, because I did have down that, I don't know if you guys remember, he did miss his season with an enlarged heart. Not I'm not making a joke of it.
That literally happened.
Yeah.
In a little bit of Browns news, there was a couple things that were pretty exciting that are going on with the Browns. The preseason schedule was released. We keep adding more players, especially a quarterback from the AAF, and no, not John Manziel. We signed a former AAF quarterback who's going to be on the practice squad. We signed a former Steeler who's a safety who's going to be on the team next year, and Ricardo Lewis is going to Miami. So a lot of stories are starting to, a lot of depth is being created within the Browns roster. That could have been an interesting thing with Hard Knocks, and of course with OBJ coming into town, Baker's second year. A lot of people wonder, now this can't happen. We can't have Hard Knocks again. But let's go back and say, okay, if we didn't have Hard Knocks last year, and if we didn't have a first-year coach this year, would you rather have Hard Knocks this year? Do you think this preseason, this upcoming training camp is going to be a more interesting Hard Knocks experience? Even though it can't happen, we can play a what-if situation here. And Eric, do you think this upcoming season is going to be much more interesting?
It's definitely going to be much more interesting. As an unbiased NFL fan, this would have been the year to do the Hard Knocks. I mean, OBJ, to hear Freddie Kitchens instead of Hugh Jackson getting bossed around by his assistants. It would have been great. And, just try to get that insight that we hear from the sidelines between Kitchens and Mayfield. And it's not going to be just that this year. It's going to be all 53 guys. But as a Browns fan, I don't want that. They have enough spotlight, they have enough spotlight, enough criticism from some knucklehead at Fox Sports 1 who likes to get his name in the news. So, I'm personally glad they got that out of the way, and they gave up a home game for London. I said, get that while they're bad, and once they're good, then you focus on this prime time and, enough of that other off the field stuff. So, they're going to be exciting regardless. We have the building the Browns. It's it's great quality, but I mean, it's no Hard Knocks to try to give you some insight. But, enough pregame, postgame, actual in-game stuff and radio talk shows. That's going to get my fill for the team this year. I'm already excited. We got 6 months or so away. And, I'm already looking forward to it. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, so first of all, credit to Eric for getting out of bed this morning when his guy Ricardo Lewis was released by the organization. So a lot of strength to pull through there. I appreciate you. I I will disagree. And when you think about the Hard Knocks, think about some of the stuff that was going on last year. I understand Odell Beckham Jr. is awesome, and people want to see him. But you think about some of the personalities that were coming back to this team, right? We got to see just how much of a crybaby Corey Coleman was. We got to see the return of Josh Gordon, which they missed a chance there. That should have been a bigger deal. They made some deal of it, but it should have been, drop return of the MAC. Watch him catch the 60-yard touchdown that he caught in one of those practices. There was a lot going on. First year, number 1 overall pick, number 4 overall pick, and you got to see the complete incompetence that was the coaching staff when they talked about players actually playing during training camp, when Tyrod Taylor had to tell him how to discipline the team for not showing up, for not putting forth effort. You got to see all of that. And so I think that really sort of started this movement with the Browns, because people really liked these players. And then, you got the whole sort of keg just exploded when the whole world changed that day in late September when Baker Mayfield entered the game. So I think that it was pretty exciting to have that when they did, coming off of 0-16, getting a chance to see this team that everybody thought was terrible. You realize, what, these guys, the coaching staff's obviously horrible, but man, if they could just get past that, there's some actual talent on this team, and you get to sort of see that, and it's really been building ever since then. This is America's team now, and that's not just us saying that. They were literally voted America's team, in the first ever actual vote for best fan base. The Cleveland Browns won, and they won pretty much going away. There was only one competition where the team kept it within 60-40. It was against the Eagles. I think it was their second or third competition, but they smoked the Titans in the finals. The Titans fans couldn't get their bots out in full force. They spent all their money beating the Bills, but all of that started, the whole genesis of this sort of bandwagon, really getting the Browns started, I think, was because of when Hard Knocks was. So I don't want it again. Eric listed all the reasons why to do that again, but I was pretty happy when we had it, and I think there was a lot of storylines on those 2018 Cleveland Browns. So I wouldn't have changed that.
Let's go into the final promo and a related topic, and that is, Drew mentioned, are the Browns America's team? But something that's related to that, do you think the Browns are the NFL's most marketable team? And that's the final promo. Can you pitch corporations and all of these different businesses? Can you pitch the Browns as a national force when it comes to marketing? We saw this with WrestleMania. There was a number of different references to Cleveland. We had Colin Jost wearing a OBJ Browns jersey at WrestleMania. We had Johnny Gargano win the NXT title. There was a huge Cleveland play with that. The Miz was one of the top matches as well. Cleveland just against the world all over WrestleMania. WWE is ahead of the game here. But Drew, let's start with you. Let's pitch the rest of these different businesses to get on the bandwagon.
It's clearly the most marketable team in the NFL. Are you kidding, man? They've just won America's team. I am a real American. They go and they add the guy with the most Instagram followers, and you can roll your eyes at that all you want to, but people have eyeballs towards this team. They build off of Hard Knocks. They have Baker Mayfield, one of the most exciting young quarterbacks in the league. They have Myles Garrett, one of the most exciting young pass rushers in the league. They have a head coach that people are want to see more of. There's just top to bottom on this team. There is an excitement for this team, and America loves these turnaround stories. It's not anything new. It's not anything unique to football, but everyone wants to see from 0-16 to Super Bowl contender. So everyone is going to be rooting for them. Yes, they are without question the most marketable team right now. There are other teams in bigger markets, and I get that. But none of those other bigger markets, that includes like the Cowboys, that includes the New York teams, that includes the LA teams, and none of them have anywhere close to the level of excitement that the Cleveland Browns have heading into this year. There's nobody. The division is wide open. Everybody wants to root for this team to the point where we have to do ID checks to show that we're not bandwagon fans, right? So. This is without question, I believe, the most marketable team because they have the most marketable talent. They have the players that people want to watch, and that's reflected in how many nationally televised games are going to get this year.
Eric, are the Browns big money?
Absolutely. In addition to big personalities like Baker, OBJ, and Freddie, they're likable guys. They're honest. They're true to their word. They're not somebody who tries to get under their skin or tries to.
Baker's not a likable guy, man. At some point, he's going to get under a lot of people's skin. I love it.
Well, for now.
True.
He's getting under other fan base skins,
right.
At least. The other thing, you hear about the sniping of Antonio Brown on his way out. Knock on wood, we're not hearing that right now. The other thing is America likes new. They're sick and tired of this lather, rinse, repeat. Ravens, Steelers, Patriots, every single year. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. And the other thing is the underdog story. We haven't won our division since 1989. I have not win the Super Bowl, not go to the Super Bowl, win the division. That's such a long time. We've been kicked to the ground so many times, and we keep coming back. And I think a lot of fans have a soft spot in their hearts for us. And, this is our time. This is our chance. You talk about marketability for selling shirts. We got the Rally Possum. That was a thing for a while.
That's a thing. How is that a thing?
That was a thing. You got Dog Check. You could, if you don't wear orange or brown, you don't matter. Like all these, expressions are coming out and people are buying them up. As I know,
feeling dangerous, yeah.
Right, but feeling dangerous. As I noted when I went to the game last year, how well we traveled as a fan base. There was 1,000 people at the tailgate in Tampa Bay last year. I'm sure those numbers are going to exceed the 2018 totals this year, depending on which game. But the Browns fans are part of a fraternity that, when you see another Browns fan, doesn't matter if you're in downtown Cleveland, LA, Hong Kong, you either give them that nod, that fist bump, or some type of chant or a bark or whatever, and you're like, yeah, I see you over there. So, it's just a great thing. Obviously, they have to put the work out on the field, but this is like a gold mine for the NFL and Cleveland in general.
All right, I'm going to put out two predictions here. We're going to have the number one NFL jersey is going to be OBJ. Maybe that's not a crazy prediction, but I'm going number one there. And then we'll go Baker Mayfield is going to be a host on Saturday Night Live and is going to be 10 times funnier than Eli Manning. Further winning over OBJ's heart.
Sure. Because if there's anything OBJ wants, it's a good Saturday Night Live host.
It's a hilarious quarterback. All right. Well, thanks, guys. We'll be getting into the draft here soon. Not Baker Mayfield on Saturday Night Live. We'll have a little bit more substance in the following weeks. But thanks again, and we'll be watching the Indians one injury at a time.
One run at a time.
One hit at a time.
Stop burying Bobby Roode, WWE. Stop burying him.
Talk to you guys next week.
All right. See ya.